The question is, can you cure the disease before it kills you? Once you set out consciously to cure the disease, as I did even before I knew the word cancer, you run the risk of catching it. Comprehende? Whatever you set your mind to, your personal, total obsession, this is what kills you. Poetry kills you if you're a poet, and so on. People choose their deaths, whether they know it or not. Hello, BookTube. Today we have Libra by Donnie D. If you want your own copy, I have an affiliate link down below to bookshop.org. If you purchase this book or any book, I get a small commission. You get awesome book and no extra cost to yourself. It's a win-win. Also set up a Patreon recently. Get a free tier, gets you just links to some old videos that maybe you missed. The subscription tier gets you early access to my videos, and then hopefully eventually there'll be more stuff, more perks once I can get the community growing a little bit over there. And if you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you enjoy the video, please consider liking and sharing and commenting. And I really like the comments. And then there's timestamps down below. About Donnie D himself. Don DeLillo was born in 1936 in the Bronx. At his early years in New York, shaped the way he saw America's culture of noise, advertising, and spectacle. He worked briefly in advertising before publishing his first novel, Americana, in 1971, a book already obsessed with media and identity. Over the next 2 decades, DeLillo became one of the defining voices of postmodern fiction. His breakthrough, White Noise, in 1985 won the National Book Award and captured the absurdity of consumer culture and our fear of death. He followed that in 1988 with Libra. You couldn't see it because I have the picture there. Hopefully that picture isn't as bad as it looks on my screen. I had to blow up a smaller picture. But anyway, a daring reimagination of the JFK assassination in Mao 2 in 1991, which explores terrorism and the shrinking role of the novelist in a world dominated by mass movements. Then in 1997 came Underworld, often considered his masterpiece, a sweeping Cold War epic that begins with a baseball game and spirals outward to nuclear anxiety, waste, and the hidden connections of everyday life. Across all these works, DeLillo examines how technology, politics, and media shape human identity, often with dark humor and unsettling clarity. So when we talk about Don DeLillo, we're not just talking about novels. We're talking about a writer who mapped the psychic landscape of late 20th century America, and whose questions about noise, fear, and meaning still resonate today. About Libra, the book itself. Let me put my glasses back on here. Author, Don DeLillo. Language, English. Publisher, Viking Press. Publication date was August 15th, 1988. In the United States. The hardcover was 458 pages. I think mine was actually 458 pages. Maybe this is the first edition. I don't know. There's stickers all over it, so hopefully it's not. Preceded by White Noise and followed by Mao 2. A synopsis. I think I stole this synopsis from bookshop.org, actually. In this powerful, unsettling novel, Don DeLillo chronicles Lee Harvey Oswald's odyssey from troubled teenager to a man of precarious stability who imagines himself an agent of history. When history presents itself in the form of 2 disgruntled CIA operatives who decide that an unsuccessful attempt on the life of the president will galvanize the nation against communism, the scales are irrevocably tipped. A gripping masterpiece blend of fact and fiction, alive with meticulously portrayed characters, both real and created. Libra is a grave, haunting, and brilliant examination of an event that has become an indelible part of the American psyche. My thoughts. So as I work my way through Don DeLillo's bibliography, I'm realizing that I enjoy him most when he's being playful. White Noise, Americana, even parts of Ratner Stars, despite my DNF, all clicked with me because they have that absurd, chaotic energy that makes his writing feel alive. But when he plays it straight, the names, for example. I can appreciate the craft while still not enjoying the experience. Libra falls squarely into that more serious category, and on paper, it should have been right up my alley. I love a good conspiracy theory. Whether I believe it or not, I still love them. And I've always enjoyed police procedurals. For example, the Hannibal series by Thomas Harris, one of my favorite reads ever. I go back to it every few years to reread. Even Hannibal Rising and Hannibal, which in my opinion aren't that great. I still go back and I reread them. By all logic, Libra should have worked for me, but it didn't. My main criticism is that Don DeLillo takes one of the most enduring American conspiracies, debated for 60 years, and renders it as dry as possible. The book reads like a police procedural with the charm of a high school history textbook. To be fair, Don DeLillo clearly did his research, and the academic thoroughness bleeds into the prose. But the results is 400 pages of build-up followed by an assassination scene that lasts only a few pages. It's not a spoiler to say that we all know the events, how it ended. So the novel needed to make the journey worthwhile. It just simply didn't. I should have DNF'd it, 50 pages in once I realized it was going to be a slog. But I kept on going out of the misguided hope that the ending would redeem itself. But it didn't, because I already knew how it ended, and that one's on me. That one's on me. I thought maybe there'd be some sort of crazy thing. Maybe aliens will come down and Bigfoot comes and tackles Oswald. I don't know. What I don't understand is why DeLillo spends hundreds of pages winding up to one of the biggest events in American history, only to treat the actual event itself as an afterthought. It feels like the novel is actually building towards the assassination. It feels like the novel isn't actually building towards the assassination at all, and if that's the case, then what's the point of reading this book? The book is also hard to follow because it's hard to stay engaged. It uses the classic postmodern time jumps, which normally I can handle just fine, but when the prose is so dry that instead of paying attention to what's on the page, I'm going through my grocery list in my mind, then a sudden time shift really kind of hurts things. And either at that point, I either have to remain lost or have to go back to where the time jump kind of starts and, reread a chunk that apparently I was glossing over. DeLillo writes Oswald incredibly dry as well. I assume he does this to avoid glorifying him, maybe. Because regardless of whether you believe in a larger conspiracy, if Oswald pulled the trigger, he's a monster. But compare this to White Noise, Dr. Gray, Willie Mink, who works for the pharmaceutical company, is also portrayed monstrous, yet Don DeLillo makes him fascinating without, feeling sympathy towards the guy. He could have given Oswald some personality, some textures without glorifying him, but instead it's just flat. It's completely flat. So what I really wanted in this book, and maybe this is my fault, you could argue that, I went into this with what I wanted instead of what it could produce. And maybe had I went into it with a little more open-mindedness, maybe I could have enjoyed it more. I doubt that. But, all I wanted was the JFK story filtered through the absurdity of White Noise. That has, White Noise has stuck with me. And with more and more time, I think it might end up battling for one of my all-time favorite books. Instead, Libra turned out to be one of the sloggiest books I've read all year. Maybe one of the sloggiest books I read, period. Honestly, it makes me nervous for Underworld. If Libra is Don DeLillo's practicing for Underworld, then my time with that book will probably be short-lived, because I can't do 1,000 pages of I can't do 1,000 pages of this and the names. I just can't do it. It's not going to happen. I will DNF it. But if it's even 50% this and 50% White Noise, I think that'd be a I think I'd be able to get through it, but jeez, you know, yeah, it's going to be much more. But it's got to be a much more like white noise than it is anything else. I think for me to really, really fall in love with the old underworld. So I don't know what else to say. This one was very disappointing for me. Yeah, but let me know down below. Have you read it? And if you've read it, do you like it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Feel free to disagree with me in the comment sections. I don't mind disagreements as long as it's above the belt. If you say that my face is ugly and I smell bad, then that's not an argument. So that's just an insult. But feel free to disagree with me down in the comment section. Other than that, I think that's it for this one, peeps. Cheers.